Welcome, I'm Stephen Thompson, and this is my Task 3 Portfolio Reflection and Synthesis. The portfolio theme that I chose was formative assessments, and for formative assessments, teachers must be willing to try new things and continuously innovate. They must be a reflective practitioner. Teachers must be open to the unending streams of information that they receive from their students, and teachers must be reflective in the use of the data to alter their instruction while learning is taking place. The first artifact assessed the reading standards. It was an observational checklist, and it assessed the reading standards of reading independently for sustained periods of time to build stamina, and read and respond according to the task and purpose to become self-directed critical readers and thinkers. The justification that I chose for using an observational checklist is that it would enable a teacher to rapidly check for student engagement with their students while their students are reading without disrupting others. Teachers would be able to collect a series of records that would be useful for identifying reasons that a student may not be successful at reading. And additionally, these records would be able to document changes in student learning and stamina over a period of time that other assessment methods would be unable to identify. This is the observational checklist that I created, and in it gives a place for the students in the classroom. It also has a category of if the student is engaged in independent reading, if they completed their reading log accurately and effectively, and if the student is creating notes for their reading responses. It also gives teachers a place for anecdotal notes that they may take during a period. My reflection for the observational checklist is that it's relevant to the theme of formative assessment because classroom observations are the backbone of those assessments, and that teachers can identify patterns of student strengths and weaknesses that summative assessments would be unable to identify. Reflective teachers need that data to use while to be used for learning, not just data of learning that is gained by the summative measures. The article that I read was Classroom Assessments, and in it the authors had 5 main points. The first was that clarifying and sharing learning intentions are a criteria for success, that teachers should engineer effective classroom discussions, questions, and learning tasks, and that teachers should provide feedback that moves learners forward, that students must be activated as owners of their own learning, and students should also be used as instructional resources for one another. My paper concluded that for learning goals and evaluation standards, that teachers must ensure that students fully understand the goal of a unit and the instruction is critical for their success, and that the guidelines for evaluation should be provided and clarified, that the teacher should provide examples of varying levels of finished products from their previous classes. When designing formative assessments, in the text, assessment is essential. Green and Johnson stated that with formative assessment, teachers need to work with knowledge and skills that take practice and that are less accessible and more elusive to students, not just cut and dry facts, which means that teachers should be at a higher level of questioning than recall-based. Another important point is that teachers should provide students with feedback. Formative assessment allows teachers the opportunity to provide students with tangible feedback that can be used to improve their performance. The authors reported that students often communicate more effectively with one another than a teacher does, and the recipient of the feedback tends to be more engaged when the feedback comes from a peer. When implementing formative assessment, and this is something that I plan to do as I continue my teaching career, I will implement additional formative assessment opportunities in my classroom. I'm going to provide more opportunities for useful feedback to students. I'm going to use the collective formative assessment data to affect my instruction, and I will share my knowledge of formative assessment to other teachers and administrators.